Hi Michael, and welcome to this edition of Ascential Experts. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Pleasure.
I really would like to kick off with how you describe Edge by Ascential to customers.
We help our customers win in an e-commerce driven world by providing them the insight, advisory, and data solutions that they need to drive their sales, drive their share, and protect their brands online.
Now, Edge is a nascent business for Ascential, and it's growing rapidly. What was your original vision when you started building this business?
Well, look, we took a look at Ascential's portfolio back in 2012, and we knew that we had to internationalize it, get into global niches that customers most wanted data and analytics around, and e-commerce stood out. We acquired One Click Retail in 2016, which was Amazon focused, and at that point, we always knew we would have to extend beyond Amazon. So it was just a matter of time before we did so. I actually joined an Amazon hackathon hosted by One Click Retail and now sister company Flywheel Digital. And a couple of clients actually approached me, and when they learned that we owned One Click Retail, they said, well, you just have to buy Clavis Insight and put them together because that would be amazing for us. And indeed, that started a process of looking at digital shelf providers, looking for the best of breed and identifying Clavis as that company and leading ultimately to its acquisition. And then following on the acquisition of BrandView, the creation of Edge by Ascential.
And you mentioned Flywheel, which also acquired as well, but you've kept that separately, right?
Correct, yeah. So Flywheel Digital is a sister company of Edge by Ascential. So Edge by Ascential focuses on the data and analytics that customers need on a subscription basis, where Flywheel provides services on Amazon, in particular how to optimize retail operations, so the individual SKUs to win on Amazon, and also to manage advertising.
Again, it sounds like something that you might ultimately start to stitch together in the longer term.
Well, we collaborate, but they are different business models, and customers certainly want to think about the way in which they measure and find opportunities separately from the way in which they action them.
So with Edge, you have a number of products underneath the kind of umbrella brand of Edge by Ascential. Could you just walk us through those?
Yeah, sure. So we have four main products. Retail Insight, which provides data on retailers and the evolving retail landscape, both online and offline. We have Price and Promotions, which is really deep pricing and promotional data. We have Digital Shelf, which is all the metrics that you need to optimize your digital shelf, ratings and reviews, search placement, content, images, that sort of thing. And then we have Market Share, which is the sales and share that you achieve on Amazon. So with those four products, we have a really interesting proposition, because with Retail Insight, we have strategy, price and promo, and digital shelf, execution, and of course, with Market Share, we have outcomes. And so together, a customer can understand how they should position themselves to win, what they should do to execute, and of course, then chart their outcomes in order to optimize that execution going forwards.
And do you have a view about this space that you're operating with Edge by Ascential, which means that there's a further journey to be made and you want to build out a bigger position?
Certainly, we're just at the beginning. Our ambition is to be the global dominant force really in e-commerce analytics. And what we have today are an assembled company of four market leading products, but we need to extend in all kinds of different directions. So we need to bring those products together to create true cause and effect, enabling us to provide predictive outcomes for our customers. We also need to deepen our analytics in particular areas. China, for example, marketing services is another.
It's a really exciting and fascinating area because you're going into brand new, fresh territory. As you've acquired businesses, what's been the criteria for you to select the ones that you've bought?
Well, we've always looked for the market leaders, right? And each of these are the market leaders in their space. They're also high growth businesses with plenty of additional opportunities. So product extensions, geographic extension, that sort of thing.
And buying entrepreneur-led, relatively young businesses and putting them together, you're now in the thick of, I guess, the difficult bit of stitching these together. How's that going?
That's right. I think it's going really well. It's a lot of hard work, and certainly the entire organization has had to come together in different ways. So early in September of last year, we created a single Salesforce. But of course, we don't have a single CRM. And so we're creating that over a period of time. We've created a single technology organization, but we don't have a single set of technology, right? And of course, we're creating that over time. All of this ultimately to enable us to create more interesting products for our customers. And it's going to take some time, right? But we've already made some significant progress and have some really good runs on the board.
And your customer set, are they looking for you to go faster, or are you leading them because this is such a new space for some of them?
Yeah, I would say both. You're right to point out that certain customers are really advanced, right? And they're pushing us all the time. We have some of the world's leading brands as our customers, and we're very fortunate to be in that position. But of course, they're very demanding customers. Many of them, though, it's an initial foray into e-commerce. And they're the first to admit that they might have 1% of their sales on e-commerce or 5%. Now, when you have tens of billions of revenue, that's quite a lot of money, but it's still the very minority of their business. So they're constantly trying to balance how they can win online because they know that that's the future, but balance that with the fact that the majority of their business remains offline. And as a consequence of that, they're running at different speeds, right? And in many ways we lead, in other ways we follow. Like any good business, we listen carefully to our customers.
And the customers that you've been working through over these last few years in this process, what's the transformation been like for them? You know, has their e-commerce activity, you know, just really taken off, and their teams grown, or are they still quite slow?
Well, as ever, whenever we host an event, customers come together and they say, we lack resources, we lack resources. It's always quite amazing, right, really, when you come across multi-billion-dollar companies who lack resources to invest in e-commerce. But the reality is that everyone always feels constrained. But notwithstanding that, the stories that I hear are stories like, well, last year we had 5 people working on our e-commerce in Europe, and this year we'll have 30. It's that kind of transformation. When they reach a certain tipping point, they don't just double the team or triple it. Sometimes they quadruple it or sextuple it.
Wow. It must be such an exciting place to work with. I mean, okay, it's really difficult doing this when it's all unknown and you've got to stitch these businesses together, but you're kind of inventing something brand new here.
Yeah, it's super exciting, and it's terrific to have that opportunity, really. Each of the founders of OneClick, Brandview, and Clavis Insight actually started an entire business model, really. These businesses didn't exist at all. And the competition that we do have are followers, if you like, from businesses that started an entire way of thinking, an entire new data set, new insight set. And so it's terrific to have the opportunity to take that a step further by integrating them to create new products. And as I said earlier, deepen and broaden their scope. I think customers are going to be amazed by what comes next.
And is anyone else trying to join these things up in the way that you are?
Not in the way that we are. There are other businesses that similarly are building data associated with services, but in the specific space that we have, our competition tends to be much more local geographically or specific in terms of sub-product line.
Michael, it's really fascinating. Thank you very much for your time today.
You're very welcome.